Welcome back into the Rowdy Studio. I'm Buzz Cutler. This is Bassmasters talking the aftermath of Bristol. Brad Keselowski makes it 2 in a row. Guys just tend to go on runs here. They tend to get streaky at Bristol.
Yeah, he's got a feel for it, obviously. But the more significant thing to me, less from Keselowski's point of view and more from a fan's point of view, is if you thought last year was just lightning in a bottle and something nutty that happened and everything just happened to work out for 1 year, well, he's just told you that, no, I'm here to stay. Well, I think that's what this win is all about.
And here's the other thing he's told you. Yes, I was able to game the system with the timing lines back in the fall, but that's not the reason I won the race. And I think that's pretty significant from Brad Keselowski's perspective as well.
Yeah, when you go back to a track and you've proven that you've kind of mastered it, that you understand it, that's the thing about Keselowski. He's a very intelligent guy, which certainly helps in cup racing. I mean, all these guys have a level of intelligence I think sometimes we don't fully appreciate. And obviously the chemistry with Paul Wolfe is something that's more of a permanent feature as well.
Yeah, what Keselowski said before the race is, look, I'm going to wait for this track to rubber in because it rained all night, and I'm not going to make my move until about halfway through. That's what he did. Yeah. And I mean, it was his strategy, and it worked. It paid off.
And so calm at the end.
Absolutely.
That's what I love about it.
Absolutely.
It's so calm at the end. Like, he wasn't proving to himself that he's arrived, but maybe he was proving it to everybody else.
All right, issue number 2, I think, has to be the overall team performance of Michael Waltrip Racing. They had cars finish 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Brian Vickers in his
make
first
me look
race,
like an idiot, too.
because you said they were nowhere.
I said that we weren't going to see some big jump in performance.
Have you ever thought that possibly
maybe
you're
I'm
just an idiot?
Yes, many times.
Brian Vickers in his first race back, I mean, it sort of made us say Mark Martin. Who's Mark Martin? What? I mean,
I loved seeing that out of Brian Vickers.
That was great. It was great.
Loved seeing that out of Clint Boyer. Loved seeing it out of Martin Truex Jr. Loved seeing it from Michael Waltrip Racing. We need comers and goers in this sport.
We do.
We need teams that get better, teams that start to struggle, just the way you need that in an individual race. Guys getting worse, guys getting better, people getting passed. We need that in the sport as a whole. You want to see a team rising up, making some noise. And if that's what we're seeing from Michael Waltrip Racing, and I think the jury's still out, I think it's great.
We have said for years that Michael Waltrip Racing was on the verge of a breakthrough.
Felt that way.
Look what they did in the offseason. They brought on Scott Miller as director of competition. They get more engine support now from Toyota than they ever have before. They rebuilt their cars almost starting from scratch. They made personnel changes in terms of who was behind the wheel. And it seems to be paying off. They have 2 cars in the top 10 right now in the points, and Brian Vickers and Mark Martin, I think, have between the 2 of them something like 2 or 3 top 10s as well.
Yeah.
So Michael Waltrip Racing is announcing their presence.
And when you have a start like this, you really have something you can build on. In contrast to
Hendrick Motorsports? Let's talk specifically about Kasey Kahne. Kasey Kahne has finished so far this season 29th, 34th, 19th, 37th. I mean, he is 32nd in points after just 4 races. This was not the kickoff he wanted to his Hendrick Motorsports career.
Certainly not. Certainly not. And it didn't help, I don't think, that we've only had 1 downforce race in the first 4, and that didn't really go that great.
But he's good at Bristol.
Yeah, he can be good at Bristol. I mean, I think the thing obviously had a problem, had a wreck. I mean, that's the problem with Bristol. And the real problem that you get into is you're 4 races into the season, you don't have a top 15 yet. Like you said, you're 32nd in points. Now you're going to Fontana, which is a very, very good track for him. More top 10s there than anywhere else in his career. He's got to have a very good run. Now you look at what Jimmy Johnson did after his bad start, Daytona plus the penalty, 3 straight top 10s, including 2 top 5s.
That's Jimmy Johnson.
But that's what you kind of have to do. You have to stop the bleeding.
You cannot do that by pushing and getting overly aggressive,
Exactly.
and that's my concern about Kasey Kahne.
He's not going to make the chase, is he?
I think he has to get back in the top 20 and maybe get a couple of wins under his belt and hope for a wild card. But let's not just.
I don't want to freak out. I don't want to freak out, Kasey.
Jeff Gordon is 23rd in points,
I know.
and he has 2 finishes worse than 35th. Jeff Gordon isn't in that much better shape. And, of course, Dale Earnhardt Jr. didn't help by taking him out accidentally.
Well, they barely touched.
They did barely. It was kind of a fluky thing.
It was a little weird.
The tailpipes got into Jeff's wheel. I mean, that's just sort of...
I don't like the way this is...
I'm sorry. But Jeff Gordon, he's not in that much better shape than Kasey Kahne.
No, he's not. He's not. I think he has a little more ability to kind of weather the storm than maybe Kasey does. Because, look, when Kasey gets to Martinsville, let's say he runs top 10 at Fontana. Well, good for you. Now I got to go to Martinsville. I mean, when was the last he finished in the top 15 there was, I don't know, 2006? Something like that. It's not good.
The saving grace is that they have had speed in their race cars, and their bad finishes have not been because they missed the setup. Maybe Jeff at Phoenix, but other than that, their bad finishes have not really been about, well, they were just out to lunch on the setup.
Yep.
So that's the saving grace. Now, I know we have to go, but I do think we need to mention Elliott Sadler. 4 top 3s in 4 races, including 2 wins in the Nationwide Series, and he's atop the points.
Feeling a lot of love for Elliott Sadler and for Brian Vickers.
It's amazing how much better the RCR cars are than the KHI cars were, as good as the KHI cars were for Sadler last year.
Yeah, pretty nice to see.
All right, that has been your Rowdy.com Big 3 for Bassmasters. I'm Buzz Cutler. Thanks for watching.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.